Where's Jeff?
I'm going to try and share the agenda here. Let's see what
Jennifer.
happens. There's the agenda.
Oh, there's Jeff.
You guys see that?
Oh, yes.
All right. I can bring that back periodically.
You can tell that we didn't do the timeline very well here.
Yeah, well, you did it, so.
Hey, I just passed it on to you. Said edit, please. Okay, well, welcome to our virtual meeting. Let's go around the Hollywood squares and introduce ourselves. To my left.
Yeah.
On my screen.
Everything is reversed on this. I don't.
Okay.
I'm raising my left hand. It looks like I'm raising my right hand. Richard discovered that. So, to your left is Joe Saraceno.
You're Ed Gorman. I'm Joe Saraceno.
Well, and we may not. My upper left is Richard, and my upper right is the Griffith family. Is that
it's different? In my,
you're to my left. And
okay, so it's scrambled Hollywood squares. So
yes.
Why don't you just introduce yourself, Ed?
Me, Ed Gorman, board vice chair.
Okay.
Richard Crockett, treasurer.
Next.
Joe Saraceno, board member, Rose City Park Playground Project chair.
Don Levine, board member.
Meg Griffith, board member.
Ed J. Griffith, board member.
Jennifer Statehouse, secretary.
Jeff.
Jeff Gifford, board member.
And Kelly Davis, board member.
Yay.
And Danielle, if you're there, sign up, chime in. She's got a screen up, but I don't see or hear her.
I don't see her.
Jennifer, you are muted still.
That's probably by design.
It is by design. I'd like to mute myself. Lynn said yesterday her camera wasn't working, so she won't have a camera on.
Right.
So how is everybody doing as far as health-wise? Let's check in on that first.
Very good.
Doing great.
You good?
Good here.
All right. Jennifer,
Healthy.
All right. How are the kiddos? I know.
Good.
My little vectors of disease are doing great.
Good.
This is being taped, Meg. Be careful.
Oh, I didn't say that. That wasn't me.
That was Jennifer.
Oh, that was Jennifer. I'm sorry. Sorry, Meg. So.
One disturbing thing I heard yesterday is that one of the tigers at the Bronx Zoo is infected with COVID-19. Yeah.
You know, I generally try to stay at least 6 feet away from tigers anyway.
Wise.
Like that. Yeah.
So the missing parties are Terry and Neil, and it's been an interesting couple days working with Terry, trying to get him a Wi-Fi hookup and then get him the Zoom invite, and it may or may not happen. And Neil was pretty confident. I talked to him the other day, and he said he'd been on several of these meetings. And so I don't know how long you want to wait, Tamara or everybody, or should we move ahead?
Just why don't we move ahead, and if they show up, they show up.
Okay.
Okay. So do we have minutes that have gone out?
I will bring the minutes up. I'm going to assume everybody intensely read these.
I saw that, Jennifer.
Oh,
I did.
Jennifer, you're muted still.
I like to be on mute.
There you are.
It's better for everybody.
She's got kids at home.
Ooh, thumbs up. All right, Richard's got the emojis going, or emoticon. Oh, I don't.
Reactions.
Reaction. Yes. You only get 2, right?
Yep, you can clap or you can put thumbs up. Other than that, everybody's on their own.
Cannot utter disdain through a reaction.
No.
No.
They're only positive reactions.
Yes.
Lindella says, not sure why.
I asked her if she couldn't unmute, and she hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay, we're all chatting with her, then I chatted with her too. It's in the lower left corner, Lynn. It has a mute icon. You can click on it. Should not on your picture area, but of your screen, the full lower left corner. Or I don't know. Can the leader unmute her, Ed?
Yes.
Yeah, the
Should
host
be able
should be able
to.
to unmute her.
I'm trying to figure out how to get the minutes to share here.
Hey, Jennifer? Jennifer? Earth to Jennifer. Hi,
Hi.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Do you have a printout of the protocols that Ed and I pulled together?
Sure. Here, let me share them with everybody.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
All right. So, can you guys see this?
Yes.
The protocols. So, does everybody want to just read them themselves?
I read them prior. But yes.
So when entering the meeting, sign in with your full name and position, such as Ed Gorman, board vice chair. And I need to put board in my name instead of just a chairwoman. And so those that don't know, you click on your name on the image of your frame and to perform that action. To the best of your ability, remove background noise that might disturb the audio for the meeting, such as pets and children. Eliminate bright lights behind you, and I have one on my left, so I could turn that off if that's a problem. Once in the meeting is brought to order, mute your microphones until you wish to contribute to the discussion. Do not talk over persons speaking. Oh yeah, this says, wait to be recognized by the chair. Oh yeah, that. When you finish participating in that part of the discussion, mute your microphone again until you wish to participate again. Do not talk over persons speaking. Side conversations should be conducted via the chat feature that allows a choice of persons with whom to chat. Eliminate extraneous information from your audio communications, such as anecdotal references. Think before speaking. Okay, to operate in a concise, efficient manner for the good of all participants. Be prepared when the session times out in 40 minutes to go back to Outlook and email inbox to receive an invite for the second session. If that works, be prepared to do it again for another 40 minutes and again if necessary. Okay. Anything to add to that? Besides my face?
We have had several meetings that were automatically extended by Zoom, and so we might also benefit from that. Ed, if you set up the meeting, I think you get the notice of that, right?
Yeah, it's occurred last night at the communication during the meeting. I think you guys saw it. Neil and Terry, during that, I admitted them in. So Neil and Terry, you guys.
See if that works. I don't know.
I'm not hearing them.
No.
Jennifer, do you want to unshare?
That's what
You want-
Neil, you are live now. We can hear you.
Neil, you're there.
Oh, there's Terry.
Terry's there, but he's muted.
Okay, we're up. What just happened?
There's Neil.
Yeah, we're trying to
Get into this.
Good work, Susie. Way to pull his fat out of the fire.
File moved or missing. Darn it.
You guys are on.
You're on.
Yeah, but
Can you see us?
we can't
Yeah,
see
we
you.
can see you.
We can see you.
We're blind. We can hear you, but not.
It's really weird. It says,
Go to save file again. See if we can do
click icon.
it.
Yeah.
Click icon.
Looks like Neil's standing.
Yes, he is, but then it says file moved or missing.
I don't know what that is.
Should we start all over again?
We can hear and see you.
Don?
He can't see.
I can't see you guys.
Yeah, that's just the
Hold on.
whole point.
Hold on. Let me try to run through the save file.
Refresh.
Okay.
Looks like
What just happened?
Terry might be alive now. I see his name down there, but no mute. Terry, are you there?
File moved or missing. You have to start all over again.
Okay. I'm going to start all over again, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Look, we can see you guys. This is so weird. Oh, there. We're
Can-
fine.
Can you see me and hear me now?
Yeah, I'll see you right there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I can
Yes,
hear you
yes.
guys.
Hi, Tamara.
Hi, Tamara.
Hey.
Unbelievable.
Lynn signed out and she's going to try to come back in. She just sent a chat message.
Okay.
Terry, you alive? Hello? Is there a little icon down at the left corner at the bottom of your screen, Terry, with a microphone that has a red slash through it? If there is, click on it to unmute.
Okay, everybody, there's a function at the very bottom that says chat. I just sent a note to Don for you to update your name on your box. So it includes Don Levine and then board member.
So I need to do that.
You need to do that too, Neil.
So I go to chat to do that?
You just click on chat at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
No, you don't go to
No.
chat. You click on your name.
Oh, up
On
in
your-
my box.
On your picture, yeah, the upper right corner, there should be 3 little ellipses there. Elliptical.
Right.
Dot.
Rename?
Dots, and you can say rename, exactly.
Okay.
There you go.
So you want me Neil, full name,
Yep.
and then board member?
And then say board member. That way people know who is a board
Right.
member speaking. Are you talking, Don? Your mouth is moving, but you're in mute.
I must have a touch.
There you go.
Okay, is that better?
That's better. We can hear you now.
Okay, I currently I'm on my iPad, and I
Yeah.
do not have that rename feature as far as I can tell.
There are 3 little dots up in the, are there 3 little dots that you can click on somewhere on the screen?
Right, I have done that, but renaming is not one of my options.
I don't think that functionality exists on phones or tablets. I think it's like a little bit different.
Yeah,
I can't rename my phone either. I just come up as iPhone.
Okay. Well, this is what we've got.
Makes sense, Jennifer.
Thank you. Now, you were looking, well, we lost Ed. He disappeared. Oh, there he is.
Yep.
So Ed, do we have minutes? Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to read these here. This was a while ago, and I didn't see any problems with them. Somebody else did.
Can I motion that we take Ed's word for it and Move on.
Second.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, somebody. Jeff, thank you.
Okay. So there's a motion by Jeff and Joe. Did you second it?
Yeah, I motioned it. Jeff seconded.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All that opposed, same sign. Okay. They've been passed. Sweet.
So, Meg, what do you do when your students haven't done their homework?
Nothing. Tell them they should do it.
So next on the agenda, I think, is the treasurer's report.
Wait, we have one more set of minutes here, if I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
The March 3rd.
I've got them on my screen, and I'm going to see if I can. That's the February 3rd minutes.
No, it's March 3rd.
March 3rd, I'm sorry, correct. Okay. So, and I read Jennifer did a splendid job as always. And I don't want to be the only person who's ever reads these things, but.
I read them this afternoon, and I think that we should approve them. I'll make that motion.
Yeah, and I'll second. Because I read them as well, and I think they're fine.
That's good enough for me. Do we have a motion to approve? Make a motion, we approve them? Do we have?
I made that motion.
And I seconded. And I
Neil did too, yeah. Neil beat me to it, I think.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign? Okay, it passed.
All right. So on the agenda, somewhere in this list of things, we have an agenda.
Treasurer's report is next.
Okay. You sent me, no, I made PDFs. You don't know that?
Yes, they're in the packet.
Yep.
Pretty much what we had for March was the only income was 58 cents in interest. We had expenses of $1,011.06. We paid DreamHost for website hosting. Ed was reimbursed for the microphone and for things for the potluck. We paid Paplin's bill for the last printing, and that's pretty much it. Net for the month was a loss of $1,010.48. Questions?
Is that printing a really low number, or is that normal?
That's the standard number.
Oh, okay.
So going forward, are we going to have a reduction in a lot of our expenses given what's going on?
That would be my guess.
Seen enough of this, I can bring up the budget.
That'd be helpful.
Okay. I'm getting car sick whipping around through here.
I am too. My parents always had to stop the car and put me in the front seat. I tell you, motion sickness was not my friend.
That's right. And that was only a few weeks ago.
Okay, there's the top half of the budget. Richard, you're on.
Well, the only difference between this is what I just said. You know, we had 58 cents in income, and I put the reimbursement to Ed for the microphone and things he bought for the potluck under supplies. I didn't know where else to put that. If we can move it down, Ed, then there were other things. Okay. The website, we paid to have it hosted, and then we also paid for the printing, which should be their communications newsletter. Yeah, additional printing there. So it shows that we have budgeted about $653 for the remainder of the one newsletter in this fiscal year. We're probably not going to expend that because we're probably not going to have a printed newsletter.
Right. And the other thing that stands out here is the community awards subtotal, which was much higher than what had been estimated in the budget.
That's correct. Yes, we did multiple awards.
Right. And I was thinking that maybe as we go forward, if we're still as strapped for income as it looks like we will be, then maybe this is one item where we could cut back a little bit in the coming year.
I would agree with that. I think we should probably do only one.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Because that difference represented almost half of the deficit at the bottom.
Well, it's not every year that we have a playground
Right.
that we're trying to launch.
Exactly.
So
I think it was completely legitimate what we spent. I'm just saying that if we get into a situation where all of our income starts to be less, that's one area we could look at
right.
in our behaviors in the coming year.
Okay.
When does the city allot us more funds?
In July.
In July, okay. And as far as we know, that annual allotment is not under threat?
As far as we know. And that's the next question is, did anyone attend the CNN meetings?
It was canceled.
Yeah.
The last at the last CNN meeting, a budget hadn't been established yet, so that's the most we know.
The City Club is having their debate on Wednesday for Udaley's position. So do you want to participate or attend that?
That's by YouTube?
Yeah, it starts at 6. YouTube.
Ooh,
Hey, all right, unlimited minutes.
very nice.
Rated. Like that.
Way to go, Ed.
I didn't even see that. I was busy admitting Lynn back in. Lynn, you're muted. Got you.
Okay, now we're down to new business. With that, has anyone heard anything about Our Lady of Lavang as far as status of the structure?
What was the last thing you heard?
The last thing I heard is
I can't remember. There was a neighborhood meeting. I'm on this committee with 2 of their guys and 2 neighbors from within 2 blocks. We met where they originally thought that they were going to complete the purchase of the property at the New Hope Church in December. That has slid. They're hoping to complete that by the end of this month. That was a hope about a month ago. There were issues with that community finding a place to relocate themselves, which held it up. So if they accomplish the purchase this spring, they have a year to a year and a half of remodeling to do at the new site. So they will be utilizing the site except for their 2 summer events, the 4th of July and I think the August outdoor events, which they intend to hold over at the new site. Given that they haven't purchased a new place, there's absolutely no information on the disposition of the current site. I don't think it's even something they're talking about right now.
And no one has said anything about what the archdiocese would do with the property once they leave?
No,
whenever that is?
We've asked them, Neil, and no. No one has ventured an opinion.
Okay.
Wrong meeting. Sorry, I was trying to get the agenda back up. Nope, there's no information, and I think we probably shouldn't put a whole lot of energy into working on, trying to figure that out.
Agreed. But it's good to hear. I mean, at least they're moving forward with the New Hope at this point. And I know so many things have just stopped. And I don't know financially how purchases are running forward as far as land use and commercial property transfers. I've seen so many for sale signs in this neighborhood. It's so unusual to have so many standing. I've seen at least 6 for sale within 2 blocks of here. So it may just be because the boundary changed, and I'm in this quadrant between 57th and 47th, where the kids are now to go to Madison instead of to Grant. And so it may just be this quadrant where everybody's selling because they want to get to the Grant High School. I know our renters next door moved because of that reason.
Yeah, we're in that situation. Our son's going to be a freshman next year. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and he's gone, all of his classmates are going to Grant, and he's assigned to Madison.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you know any freshmen going to Madison in your area, let us know, because we know 0.
Okay. Well, I have a rental.
Field, but what?
Now I have a rental that I need to market in this economy, which will be a trick. And there's no guarantee that once I get in there, they won't say, "Oh, I don't have a job. I can't pay rent."
Right. And I do think that turmoil is also affecting people wanting to sell right away. Although I don't know where they're going, but I do think that has made people feel like this may be the last moment for a while to sell at a reasonable price. And, there's some sort of different opinions about that, but I think that's part of what's happening to the real estate market. There are a lot of houses for sale. And our neighborhood hasn't changed schools, and we're seeing a lot more for sales.
Wow.
So, but I have the feeling it's suddenly going to stop, it's at some point, because the prices aren't going to be sustainable for people. So we'll see. Yeah.
I saw a bungalow here for $649,000. That's like a block away, and it's like, that's pretty steep still. It's like, okay.
Right.
So I'm going to be the timekeeper here. It looks like conflict of interest forms is something that we're supposed to be talking about.
Yes.
I spent about 7 hours on conference calls today, so.
Let's move ahead.
Yes.
Well, the conflict of interest form was something Michelle had brought up, and she got into a passionate issue about certain people not wanting to sign on to the this petition dealing with DEQ, and I thought everyone had a very logical reason why they didn't want to sign with that petition, and she just felt like, oh, they have a conflict of interest. I didn't see a conflict of interest, and so she wanted to modify the conflict of interest form. My feeling is that our conflict of interest form is from Central Northeast Neighbors, and we turn it into Central Northeast Neighbors. They accept it, and if anyone has a conflict during a vote, they need to state it before they take a position. And I felt like everyone did exactly that with the DEQ petition. So I don't feel like there's a problem. So is there anyone else that thinks there's a problem?
No.
I don't.
All right, let's move on.
No, I agreed with you, Tamara. I thought it was a difference of opinion or perspective, which doesn't equate to a conflict of interest.
Okay. All right. What's next on the agenda? Talking about the new normal?
Yeah.
Okay. As everyone knows, we've got lockdown for all of our meetings at this point. It brings into question, what are we going to do for the May meeting? It also means that we've canceled our cleanup, and that's usually our fundraiser for the year. Question becomes, are we going to have to cancel our concerts in the park, or can we do that virtually? Can we have a May meeting virtually? I don't know. But these are questions that we need to talk about and either direct a subcommittee of us to research how it's going to be done, or we let it go.
That's something for the events committee.
Say what?
Is that something for the events committee, perhaps?
We don't really have an events committee.
Well, we kind of do.
Yeah. Richard, Ed, and I are on the events committee.
Who's I?
Jennifer.
Oh, Jennifer. Sorry. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to take this on,
No.
and no,
frankly, what we do is we just organize the events and get the permits. I don't want to take it on.
Right. I mean, I think this is another situation in which we are sort of almost have to wait to know what the situation is going to be at those times, especially during the summer. But we can assume that we might be faced in a sort of rolling way with canceling activity after activity. As for the May meeting of our board, I think we can do what we're doing now and try to see if we can do it more successfully with more people.
Well, we actually
Neil, I think it's the general meeting that the question is about.
Oh, I doubt very much that's going to take place. I can't imagine that we're going to be at a point where, even if we're quote unquote over the peak, where we're going to be healthy enough as a community to have large meetings of any kind. Now, whether, as you said, whether we can do that just as a virtual thing, I think once we get closer to it, maybe we can actually have that discussion. But I think it's too early in some sense to know what the situation will be then.
Well,
we may not have any options.
The question I have is there a forum by which more than, let's say, 10 people could meet in a virtual reality and have a speaker, have a situation where they can raise their hand, or, you know, there's a moderator. So I just don't know the formats well enough to know if there is a virtual world where that could happen.
We do have that option with Zoom.
You do?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It would to go to, I think it's up to 300 people. We'd have to go to the basic level of a paid membership. I think they call it Pro, which is like $14.95. But we don't. That is a non-committal, not automatically extended obligation. We could do it for 1 month and then go back to the basic.
Okay, and we have a hand up over here, Meg.
Yeah, I think you can do Facebook Live, and there can be, and that has running comments, so people can put comments in during a Facebook Live, and that's as many people as you want.
Okay.
The comments in can, well, we probably wouldn't have a problem, but that can get tricky if people start little side arguments or conversations during a speaker's speech. That can potentially get messy, but I don't think we'd have an issue with that. I do like the idea of moving forward with a general meeting in May that has a guest speaker, especially if we could get someone of relevance at this time, like maybe someone from OHA or OHSU, OHA being the Oregon Health Authority, or OHSU to speak on where we're at, where we're going, what communities can do, provide useful information to our community. I think that could be very relevant.
I think if we did a general in May, that it'd be really important to keep it very positive and not do something that's controversial. Do something that just like brings the neighborhood together more so, something along social emotional health of a neighborhood or something like that, rather than political or issue based or something like that.
But don't we have to pull the trigger really soon, given our deadlines, if we were going to try and have a May thing?
Yeah, what are we set for May already in terms of a date, Ed?
Well, we had,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we had a date. I think we have a date scheduled in our annual schedule that we put together.
Yeah, we did.
That is for a space. And also, since we're not doing a paper newsletter, instead we're doing a virtual one, our deadline can be pushed back some. Because usually we have to get our material in within 2 days from this point.
Yeah, we have a month for the deadline. If we're going to do a digital in May, we have a month before we have to make a decision.
Right.
Well, you know, I like all these ideas, but I tend to agree with Neil that in May, the issues with coronavirus are going to be hopefully diminished, but they're not going to be gone. I think trying to plan a public meeting is early. I think there would be problems with that. I also think that there might be platforms where we could have a significant number of people, but I don't know if anyone here has the expertise to figure that out and get that all set up within a month. I just participated in a meeting of about 250 people 2 days ago, and they tried it with 10 people the day before and it worked fine, but when they got 250 people on, it blew everything up. And I can see that happening if we're not well prepared, and I think a month just isn't enough time to do that. I would suggest that we postpone the May meeting.
Don, was that a Zoom meeting or what was the format for the 250 people?
It was a YouTube meeting with chat.
Tamara, did you, excuse me, did you check in with CNN on requirements for our meetings and for public accessibility and that sort of thing, if whether Zoom meets the requirements?
I think we received something from Alan Field through Terry.
Yeah. As long as everyone can access the meeting, it seemed to be okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Terry, we can hear you.
Oh, I had to reset the browser to work the microphone. There are other neighborhood associations that have been doing the same thing we're doing tonight.
And doing it in a public forum. I guess we are doing this in a public forum.
Yeah, exactly what we're doing tonight.
So can people watch us live at this point?
Hey, so I am live streaming this on Facebook right now. I verified it's, well, last time I checked on my cell phone, there's about a 10-second delay, but it is feasible. Going forward, we would do it. Just Zoom has had some security problems that may or may not be aware of, and they've fixed some of them, but I wasn't comfortable exposing my computer in the Zoom platform to some of their security issues. So it's going out to the public on a live stream on Facebook.
So that's what we need.
Yeah. So I shared what Terry from Allen Field should be on your screen. And it's his opinion, but he's an attorney. Who knows? He's in other neighborhood association. Jay's an attorney. Jay, should we take this to the bank?
I haven't reviewed Oregon open meeting rules, so I don't know what the.
Well, we're not necessarily elected officials either, you know, as far as political officials.
So one thing that Allison did share with CNN at our last meeting a couple of months ago was that email votes are not allowed technically.
Right.
You know, regardless of whether everyone agrees to do an email vote or not. There's an arcane rule in I forget whose rules now, but that forbids the email vote. So I suppose if we're all here online in real live time, that's not considered an email vote, and we can vote this way. But you know, it's just interesting what kind of rules are out there that might allow or prohibit this. So
Well, I think most of, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess if Terry's information, you know, checks out, then that's the way to go.
Well, I think these are kind of extraordinary times, and most of the open meeting rules that were written weren't written with this scenario in mind. You know, I'm sure that we could have a board meeting and live stream it to whatever audience would want to watch it. But with a format for a general meeting where your audience might want to participate,
right?
That sounds complicated to be able to pull off in a month when we're not sure what the situation will be within a month.
Right.
It's actually 2 months out, Don, because it's end of May.
May 26th.
Well, okay.
I mean, maybe not a big difference, but.
Well, you know, if we can do it, if somebody wants to do a platform and try to do research to make sure it doesn't crash. I think if it crashed, we'd have more problems with trying to hold a public meeting than if we postpone the meeting.
Right.
Well, we could do something possible with a moderator and a speaker. So there's 2 frames on the window, and then it being projected and questions coming in. We could also do it as a panel of folks speaking, and then questions coming in, and the moderator working through that. I haven't done that, but my sister has, and my brother does things like that all the time. So it's not out of the question that maybe some of us can get together and figure this out.
So I now have to do this like every day, several times a day with high schoolers. It's a little bit terrifying because of infight and whatnot, but by May I'll have a lot of experience. But we have staff meetings of like 140 people almost every day.
Wow.
And we haven't been having too much issue as far as, there's always a couple of people who like can't be on their video and their audio can't stream because their own internet isn't fast enough. But I do think that like the Facebook Live platform would let people comment. But I again think that if we did it, it would need to be more of a like lower key sort of engaging about a little bit about the new normal coronavirus stuff. But I think also just looking at how to bring how have we brought the community together? Like, oh, we found out about a group of people doing this and another group of people in the neighborhood doing this, and sharing out all the ways that the neighborhood sort of just has come together and made do with this new normal, sort of like a show and tell of that or something, I think would be really nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of keeping it local. Things change by the minute, and there's so much national reporting and regional reporting on this that I don't know, bringing in experts would, I don't know that they would even participate, feel their time was worth it. But I like what Meg's saying, that introduce a local flavor to it, and what people are doing here might be uplifting. I mean, our street, it's corny, but we've been doing the 7 o'clock, everybody go out and bang a pan or a drum or to support. We got a doctor on the corner. She said it brings tear to her eyes, a nurse around the corner, and people appreciate it. So I think something more in line locally, be more inclined to support that. I'm cautious about overreach. I mean, we're limping along anyway.
Well, I can work with Meg. Is there anyone else that wants to work with me on trying to figure something out so we can limp along together?
Yeah, I definitely want to help out with something. I think it's important that no matter what we decide to do, that we just don't decide to go quiet.
Right.
That we simply just surrender to the moment and say, let's just cancel everything. I think it's important as a group that we try to stay relevant. You know, the newsletter is a big one, so I'm glad that's going out in some form no matter what. I don't think it gets read as much electronically, but I don't know, Lynn, if you can track that or not. But yeah, I agree. If we can find someone locally, keep it positive. Of course, we don't know what will happen by late May, but I'm optimistic, right? So, but anyway, short story, yeah. Tamara, Meg, be happy to help out and figure out what we can do to present something to the public, our neighborhood that's worthwhile. And
What's
positive.
our predicted audience?
I have some time I can jump in too.
What's our predicted audience?
Who knows, Terry?
Our neighbors.
If
Well,
we got people, I'd be thrilled, to be honest.
I might point out as well that we do have an email list where we could send out something like a weekly feel good about what the neighborhood is doing and what some people on some streets are doing as a way to maintain contact with neighbors. Instead of having just one big meeting and trying to coordinate all of that, we could be doing a weekly thing and reaching, I think, Ed, you were saying there's 750, 800 people on the email list. And
That's
most of
correct.
those would probably be the people that would be attending the general meeting anyway.
We
If
could
you
also
want to
do
just
next door.
put
But
out contact.
we could also do next door, which has a broader audience than just the handful that are on our email list.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's some of us that work for a living, and I don't have, I don't have 24 hours a day to put into the neighborhood association stuff. So I like having a scheduled event like quarterly, just because it gets overwhelming otherwise for me.
But the email list, Don, that might be an interesting idea or a step for us for the May event to reach out and say, hey, does anyone have any stories to share about what you're doing to get involved in the community? We'd love to hear from you. This is a meeting we're planning. If you'd be willing to share some of your ideas or things you're doing in the community to help, we want to hear from you and share it to the broader community. Maybe we'll get some cool stories.
And maybe they'll just show up, and then we can hook them in, and then they can tell the stories to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Well, that's great. I mean, we could also put out on the email list, send what you're doing that's working for you and you're on your street, and just repost it on the email list or on Nextdoor once a week or whatever, instead of building everything up into one meeting.
Our free MailChimp account has a limit to the number of emails per month that we can send out. It's maybe 2 or 3 given the quantity of people that we have subscribed. So you need to be aware of that we can't just sending out mass emails all the time.
Okay.
Well, I'm not talking about all the time.
Right.
I'm talking about a couple of times.
We could do it with both Nextdoor, which you can target Rose City, or you can target out Rose City plus the surrounding neighborhoods as well. And Nextdoor, for all its warts, it does have a significant reach. And Don, I was thinking you're on the, you and Craig and others are on the net team. perhaps a feature on the net team and availability of services or educating people about neighborhood emergency team, and some background on that might be valuable at this time.
Well, I could talk to Craig about that. Also, the information that Tamara sent out to us regarding people putting themselves on the help map would be interesting to get out as well. I mean, I think that's something that can be done, that can be keyed in and meet any immediate needs that are coming up, matching needs with help.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a select committee of myself, Meg, Joe, and Lynn that will move ahead with trying to figure out what we're going to do for May. That's one option. We have Don's option, which is let's just not do the May meeting and instead do serial blast maybe every 2 weeks to folks saying this is what the neighbors are doing here. So there's a couple options here. Are there any other options that you're looking at? And then I'll put it up to a vote. How about that?
What about taking a poll of people, since we have time?
Okay. You want to initiate that, Lynn?
I can work on some questions.
Mm-hmm.
You mean while we're sitting here and take a
No.
poll?
No, I meant to poll, just to poll the neighbors. What would they like to see us do in light of where we are?
Oh. I don't want to go down that path because then they'll say, I want you to take my garbage out. I don't know.
I think there's, I don't know about that next door help thing. I know when I saw that, I kind of had concerns. I know you were making a joke, Tamara, but it's about what exactly does that mean? Like, I'm already leery of being, when I go for runs, I'm zigzagging across the street to avoid people. So, if help means physical contact or exposing yourself more in a public sphere, I could see why people would be leery of, I don't think anyone on Nextdoor has tagged that. So I don't. I know personally, I was like, I wasn't quite sure how that was defined. If I just raise my hand to help, am I going to be called on to drive people to the hospital or go, I just didn't.
Right.
It was a difficult sort of introspection about how deep I want to go on. It was more about the physical, how close you have to get to someone to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did get on the app and take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I think, if you've got time and you volunteer to assist people with things like picking up groceries for them or prescriptions or whatever, you indicate when you're available. If somebody needs help, they can see your name and your location and contact you via Nextdoor. If you're not comfortable with it, you say, no thanks, and they go to the next person on the list.
Right.
So it's kind of, it's a free-for-all. You volunteer to do what you want to do. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. If you decide that you're being called too much, you take your name off of the map. It's really kind of grassroots level, people helping people. It's kind of free form, but I think it's one way to hook up people that have time with people who have needs.
Right. And it
I haven't
sounded
heard
to me,
anything on there to indicate that it's not working for the people that are using it. So.
Okay, Don, I think I have Neil that wants to speak, and then I haven't heard from Jeff for a while.
I just wanted to say that looking at the Nextdoor thing, it sounded like some of it was just making a regular phone call or making contact with someone to see how they're doing. That was one of the types of help, because that's first of all, not leaving someone who's a shut-in total isolation, but it's also a social contact. And I think that it's funny because tomorrow morning I'm planning on putting myself on that list as a volunteer, and then I'll see how it works, and I can report back as well, as I do it. But I feel like, I'm someone who could do those things. But I agree with Joe. I would not go into someone's home. If I was delivering something, I would be delivering it to their porch and then leaving. Making a phone call. Your stuff is outside, I've left it at your front door, kind of thing. And that would be my personal limit of what I would be willing to do in terms of that kind of help.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the other kind of help, which is just the social contact remotely, I think is really valuable for some elders and some other people who are just shut-ins. And I want to see how that works, because I think that that's one of the things we can do individually in a situation where there's so little we can do.
Right.
That's a good point.
To help each other. So that's all I want to say.
Jeff, we haven't heard from you for the entire meeting, so.
I agree with what other people have said generally. My recommendation would be to pursue a virtual community meeting in May. And then I very much agree with what Joe said, that this is the time when we need to reach out into the neighborhood and be involved in some way or form. And I don't know what that means exactly, but I think that's important.
I also think it's a time that we would maybe make more connections, because everybody is got more time than they usually do. We're not going to appointments and other meetings and those kinds of things. So you might get more people coming out to the neighborhood meeting virtually than we would normally see.
It's true. There are people like Jennifer that are busy all the time and work from home all the time because she's a working mom anyway. So those people may or may not have time to join us, but I think it would be great to have a virtual meeting and then advertise it on Nextdoor and our email blast, and then go from there. It's a trial.
So we have a month to come up with a hook, as I would say it, to publicize something that people are going to say, oh, I want to tune into that, assuming we handle all logistical issues. Do we have a hook?
I think that's what we're working on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think,
We've got a committee to develop a hook.
I think the hook is, find out what your neighbors are doing during this time to support each other.
Right.
And what could that be? It could be everything from helping each other with a garden, what's going on with virtual happy hour. Everybody's sitting around the block 6 feet apart at 7 p.m. You take a photograph of that, and then they, talk about that. I don't know.
Yeah. The old victory garden concept. Now's the time of year to get your garden going, start growing your own produce. And I know in my neighborhood, we share vegetables and starts and all sorts of things this time of year. So that's kind of a positive, growing crops, sharing food, providing for one another. I know my neighbors across the street are pregnant, and so I have chickens, so I give them eggs. I've been trying to give them eggs as much as I can spare. So these are just kind of, to Meg's point about something positive that feels good, how we can help each other and get together. So I like the happy hour idea. It's that time of year to start gardening, all these sorts of things that we can do to be more communal than ever, actually.
We might even get some sharing of toilet paper stories.
I need some.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Hopefully not used.
We do also have board elections in May.
Ah, yeah.
Oh. So that almost makes it a mandatory, like we have to have a meeting.
Kind of is.
Hmm.
I forgot about that. All right. So all those in favor of having a virtual meeting in May, raise your hand. Say
Aye.
aye.
Did somebody motion or make a second?
Oh yeah, that's right.
I motion.
And I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Now we get to say aye.
Aye, aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, here we go. Next on the agenda is, who's got a copy of the agenda? My printer ran out.
Communications Committee.
All right, Communications Committee.
I gather you guys briefly discussed the newsletters while I was offline. Yes, no?
Not really.
Just that there's not going to be a printout.
No, we did not.
Right. Okay. I'm getting ready to put the finishing touches on the April newsletter that will go out probably in late next week, probably. So anything that you have for it, I do need to have by the end of this week. And since we're agreed on doing a digital edition for May, that will be the same kind of thing, then except I will need the information by about the end of the first week of May. I'll email you the exact date. But also, if there's anything in particular that any of you now or subsequently think you would like to see in the newsletter, either of those newsletters, please let me know. And Tamara, I guess a chair's corner would be nice to have for the May one.
You bet. What do you have in the April newsletter so far?
Not a whole lot, because there hasn't been a whole lot of input. I think it's appropriate that we say something about where we are on things, and I've been monitoring the coronavirus stuff pretty intensely recently. But I think just reminding people that there are help places out there, and these are the good tips, and don't freak out, and be diligent, but don't be freaked.
I think it's pretty important for people to have access to the different websites where they can.
Yes,
find
and that was what I was parting to. Yeah, yep. Not as many. I mean, I'm sure there's many of them, but definitely OHA and CDC and some of the other ones. The 211, the basic list. So that, but particularly anything that's specifically oriented toward the virus.
I already did my dad. Good job.
Any committee reports, any updates on land use? Because I haven't seen that in a little bit of time, and I know things have been not entirely stalled in the building department out there in the world. So if there's anything going on about that, I missed the beginning of the conversation about Lady of Lavang, so somebody could catch me up on that at some point. That would be great.
So I don't think Lynn completed the Communications Committee report. Can you see that we held it last night? Is it on your screens?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just real quick, the cleanup, reached out to Rhonda. There's no information at this time about rescheduling. We talked about the concerts. Just wait. Transition to Outlook email, working for everybody. Terry's having a few problems. Everybody else functioning okay with it?
Yep, it works.
Yep.
Okay. Lynn offered to have a policy regarding its use for official communications for the neighborhood association, not necessarily for current board members because we've always all been part of the process, but something for new members in the future to give them information of why we're using it. Does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. A title block or a signature block. Lynn, I don't know if you've noticed, Lynn has got in her email in red color. It's this is an official document or something, and The question was, do we want everybody to use it? Primarily, it would be for emails outside of the board.
Oh, like our email signatures.
Yeah, email
Yes.
signature. Anybody have any feelings on that?
Not really. I figure that if we're speaking on behalf of a committee or even the board or the neighborhood, I always make sure I'm very clear whether if I'm just speaking on my own behalf, on behalf of just the board, or behalf of the board embracing what they think the neighborhood needs. So I try to make that distinction in my communications, but having a signature block, I don't know, seems a little bit.
Part of the thought, Tamara, I think was also, because you do a lot more of this, it's going to be more natural for you. But I think it's also a good reminder to us that everything that we are doing there is part of the official record. And if push ever came to shove and we had to deal with legal discovery, that's going to also give us a reminder that this is an official document and it is producible.
It's kind of the same concept we did tonight where, we've asked that all of ourselves put our name and then our position on the board. So that's something you can pre-lock down in Outlook to simply say Joe Saraceno, RCPNA board.
Right.
So every email you send is
I put together a how-to list kind of as a draft for the communications committee, and people found it to be pretty good. If you'd like, I can just forward that to everybody.
Please do.
Okay.
I would like to see that.
It's very well done.
Thank you.
Take it up at the next meeting, and allow people time to review it.
And then we can vote on it in the next meeting, Ed?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
All right, so what else? Lynn was talking about a summer digital edition. Originally, she was thinking of a hard copy issue, and the committee thought maybe a digital. Any thoughts on that?
On an ongoing basis, not just this year, because there's 5 months right now between the May issue and the October issue, and that means that we don't have coverage of the summer concerts. We don't get the word out about who the new board members are. We haven't, because of the Walker Awards have been done in that time period. There was a lot of information that was getting stale by the time it gets sent out to people in October. So rather than to just not do one at all, and we thought it was premature to schedule a hard copy one partly because that creates additional budget issues. But if we were to approve a regular summer digital issue.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea to have the information getting out right now. The question I have is whether or not the digital issue also includes advertisement, and are we getting any money for that?
Well, it would be included in the money that we're getting right now. I mean, if we wanted to slightly increase the rates because we're adding an additional issue, that would be up to us. But since that's an issue that does not cost anything extra to print, that might not be necessary to do.
That's an interesting point, though, Tamara, regarding, so for example, May, which is typically a printed newsletter that's hand-delivered to every front door in the neighborhood. I don't think we'll run up against it in May, but I wonder if people that are paying to advertise will feel they're not getting the reach they once did, because I have no data on this, so Lynn, maybe you can help it out, but I have a feeling people don't read the digital issue the way they do the one delivered to their front door.
I don't have any idea, Joe. Well,
Yeah.
Two things. Number one, I don't know, and Ed may be able to help us with some of the analytics that we get from websites and stuff. But with regard to the summer issue, we haven't had one at all. So getting anything out there will give our advertisers more than they've had in the past.
Yeah.
And the thing with the digital issue, well, either one of them is we can put it on Nextdoor, and So it does have a pretty good reach, at least within Rose City Park.
That's true. With the digital issue, are there ads that are posted with it?
I have not been doing that, but that's not a problem.
Okay. I just want to make it possible for that to happen so that we can possibly get some income during the time when we're dry, as far as getting money coming in.
Jennifer, do you want to weigh in on that since you've been the liaison with our advertisers?
Well, I'd like to make 2 points. One is right now, since we're not printing May, we're kind of stiffing all those advertisers an issue. And so I think we need to be a little bit more generous with putting those ads in our digital copies, because they're not getting the print reach. So that's 4,000 homes that they're not going to, plus the copies that we deliver to our businesses. And then the other thing, I think it's really important that we remember who our advertisers are, which is local, generally service businesses that are closed right now. So it's restaurants, it's a Spanish language place, it's who's our other, realtors, these are small business people that are really hurting right now. And so when I spoke to our committee yesterday, I had some big concerns about kind of trying to press on asking for any more right now and seeing if we could be, generous with what we have. Like, this is a way to give back to people. Like, all of our advertisers are multi-year advertisers. Like, this is a way to give back to them right now.
I'm good at waiving, the advertising costs, for the next couple rounds, just so we can help people get back on their feet. And
so we just everybody's paid for the whole year.
Oh, okay.
So, so we don't have anybody who's like going issue by issue at this point. Like, they've paid for a full year of advertising.
But we could demonstrate value. I think Lynn kind of said this by showing them, hey, we're actually giving you more advertising. We're putting you in the digital copies now. And then Jennifer, I had a thought, and I could help with this if you want. Is it worth reaching out to like the Laurelwoods and some of the restaurants that do advertise with us to say, hey, we're still putting your ads out there. Do you want to make any edits or changes to your ad to state that you're now doing takeout only or offering specials for, like maybe Laurelwood's doing, you can pick up beer, you can pick up food, giving them an opportunity to update their ads that are going out.
So Laurelwood is one that hasn't returned our call to renew this year. Like, they've been a community partner in the past, and so they haven't done that. And then Bar on the Mountain is another restaurant that does their advertising, and I recommended that we actually did. As their community partner, they get a free ad as part of that, that we publish at now, and reach out to them to see if they have something they want to add in that way. But yes and no. I'm just know they're hurting really bad, and so to ask for extra, even when it's just a little bit, if you want to help, with that. I just have a lot of guilty feelings about it. So.
Well, I'm not sure. I want to make sure I'm understanding. I'm not suggesting we ask for any more money. I'm just suggesting we ask if they want to add additional messaging to their current ads to inform the public of what they are able to do right now. So that's what I was offering. But
you mean just change their copy?
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's a plan for that.
Okay.
To go to Fire on the Mountain and ask them that.
Can you elaborate on that, Lynn, please?
Well, if somebody wanted to change the copy that they're using in their ad, COPY, whether to right now, most of them are using basically business card or something similar. It's a very static thing, and it's the same thing month after month after month. But if they wanted to do something different, what we might be able to do at this point, particularly if we're going digital, where we do not have a space constraint that we have with the printed version, We could, for example, they paid for a business card ad. We can give them a double size if they want to do something else, just to help, do as part of this reaching out to be more helpful to them. It's like, okay, you've already got a business card size ad. Would you guys like to take out have a quarter page this time instead at no extra cost? Something like that.
I'm sure they'd appreciate that.
Yeah, it might be a little bit tricky for April because we were on a little bit of a short deadline for April. We certainly can do it for May.
I like that idea a lot.
I
agree.
That we consider reaching out to our advertisers to change the size and/or content of their ads for the May digital issue.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay, we got a thumbs up over there with Ed.
Jennifer, do you need help with that, or is that something you think you've got under control?
She's muted and she's.
You are muted.
I'm
That
not-
I just
I'm-
stepped
I'm
away
not-
for a second to say goodnight to my kids because I thought this would be faster than normal. And so I don't even know what you guys just voted on.
Oh, everybody just voted to give them a larger size ad for no extra cost for the May issue. Is that something that you would need any help with reaching out to people about?
No. Who motioned and who seconded it?
I motioned.
I seconded.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything else relevant that warrants attention on the Communications Committee report.
Okay, so we're to land use.
Oh,
And a lot of things have stalled, and the one thing that hasn't stalled is some development. And Kelly, you want to update us on what's happening with Umpqua?
You mean the recent correspondence we got from the neighbor?
Yep.
So we received an email from a neighbor, I think on 48th, who got a notice on her doorstep that the contractor, SD Deacon, was proposed to change their hours for the 17th, I think, of April. They wanted to start at 5 in the morning and go till 6 at night. And so the neighbor, I think, panicked a little bit, thinking that was going to be the normal. So I called the contractor and talked to him, and he said that it's a post-tension slab that they're pouring on the first floor. It's the only one they're doing, and it has to be a continuous pour. So that's why they have to start at 5 a.m. and go until 6 at night. So I emailed back to Barbara. I didn't get a response from her, Tamara, but essentially it's a one-time only exception, and it's just a concrete pour, so it's not really going to be a tremendously noisy activity.
I did get an email from Paul Van Orden today.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and I just wanted, I included you in that loop because he was responding to her inquiry about it, and even though we had forwarded your response to her, he went ahead with that. So I'm not sure if she still wants to appeal this or not. I know that she wants the neighborhood association to step in and stop it. But I don't see how we can do that if there's a continuous pour that needs to happen.
Yeah, and I think what she was concerned about was it being an ongoing activity, that you get a variance for one day and pretty soon they are doing it all the time, which is pretty disruptive to a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Question: did the contractor send out a notice or a request or a proposal? What was the?
It's a variance.
What, I mean, were they informing them, or they were just informing them that they had said if we were requesting the variance? What did the neighbors actually? What were they actually given?
A very sloppy notice. A very sloppy notice that said that they had submitted a noise variance, and this was the time it was going to take place. It wasn't clear about how many days it was going to be, and it wasn't clear how to appeal the decision. And so there was a lot of information missing. And so I suggested giving him a call at Paul Van Orden, because the notice was from the Deacon Construction folks, and it was supposed to be much more clear. And
So the notice was flawed.
right.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't really have much else to report from land use.
Kelly, I got Portland maps up here. There was a communication from the city, and it had 2 addresses over on 50th and Fremont. They're going
Oh,
to.
you were talking about the demolition.
Yeah, this lot is the one they're going to demo, which is not the lot that Grove Hunt is developing, that the architect made the presentation at the land use meeting about.
That's curious.
And that's owned by Fremont Street Project LLC. And who is this? This is Grove Development. That's Grove Hunt. So that's a whole separate project. And then
I thought those 2 lots were together.
the other address was here in the middle of Clickahat Street, 3285. Maybe they meant 3258 or something, and it may be nitpicking, but you had a different piece of property that's going to be demolished than anybody's approached us about. And then I can't remember what the other one was, but the 3285 address is here in the middle of Clickatat. Really is not a real address. So I just throw that out there, that the city's was flawed in this one, and maybe we ought to find out what's going on here, if anybody cares.
So how do we find out what's going on there?
Well, I would contact the city that sent the notice out, whoever was on that notice, and point out to them that this address doesn't exist down here at 3285. And what do they know? We've had Grove Development, Grove Hunt and his architect talk to us, but nobody's contacted us regarding demolishing 5024.
Can you click on 5024 and see if there's any permits on it?
Oh, permits and zoning. Single family, it's a demolition.
That's all.
Early assistance, sewer connection, those are old, whatever this.
The top one said demolition.
Oh, 12 units.
Be removed in parcels for 12 units.
Wow.
There you go.
So that's a whole separate project from Groves over here.
That we looked at, right?
Yeah.
So we may or may not see that if it's done within current zoning and planning criteria. We might not see it.
That's true, but
That's true.
if we are supposed to, it'd be nice to find out.
Okay, I'll look into those 2 items. See what I can find out.
I assume there's no parking with that, with 12 units.
It doesn't really describe that, I don't think.
We don't have that information yet, Terry.
And of course, parking isn't required, so why would you?
Yeah.
There could be 24 units. It'd still be the same.
True. Okay.
I talked to the supervisor over at 51, right across the street from our house, the day that the quarantine went into effect. And they let me know that they were essential business and would be continuing from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. normal operations, which, you know, us being home all the time now, it's a little more disruptive than it was before. So he agreed to loop me in on communication when he was going to be closing the street for cranes and things like that. And I let him know that I was going to be teaching classes about 30 feet away. And he seemed to be okay with communicating with me about that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Just an update on RIP. The hearing was canceled about 30 minutes before it started in March, and So they still have to have another hearing before they can approve something, I would think. They were going to reschedule it for, I believe, March 9th or 19th or something, and that didn't happen. So it's sort of on hold.
Thanks for keeping a watch on that for us, Terry. Okay, events committee?
Oh, well, the concert, the cleanup's been canceled, as everyone knows. And the concerts, we haven't, I just did something bad here. As far as we know, it's still going to happen. So until, things evolve and we learn different, we haven't had any communication with either of the artists. And actually, Joe, I need to talk to Joe. Just thought of that. So.
We have contracts with both of them, don't we? Because it says they're both booked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joe's basically contracted both of them. I don't know if they've signed it, but they both agreed to perform, and it was $1,000 each.
And you're talking about Joe Schaefer, right?
Yeah, Joe Schaefer from Hollywood. And
That's terrifying.
so, and then Neighbor Night Out. That was something, I think we talked about that previous, about considering the transition that to a post-Labor Day event with Rose City Park School. Jennifer, I don't want to put you on the spot, but were you going to talk to the principal there about that? Did you?
Yes, I was planning on that. So they installed the new PTO in February, late February, I believe. And then we've been out of school since March 16th. So
okay.
We haven't really heard much from it. That kind of everything started back this week. So I think people are trying to get their feet under them. So no, I haven't pinned anything down. Our thoughts around that were that it would be kind of a multicultural type, event in the fall. It might be our best case scenario at this point for having a live event if we wait until September or so. But I haven't pursued that.
Okay.
Yeah, principals are on hold again. So as far as I don't usually would know my teaching assignment for next year by now, and I don't. So that principals are in hours and hours of meetings every single day right now. They told us that we're only supposed to be working 5 hours a day. Yeah, I'm working about 14 hours a day right now. So off and on. I mean, I'm just constant email, and kids, I get 50 messages a day from students. So, and we haven't even started any actual work yet. So it's a lot.
Okay, and we don't have Michelle here tonight, so we don't have anything for the environmental committee, right?
Correct.
Okay. The one thing that we hadn't followed up on was the survey that we had done amongst ourselves of questions for the candidates. And I know that everyone has gotten a copy of that survey now, and I was wanting to find out whether or not it would be okay for me to send out the questions, the top 5 questions that were selected on that list to the candidates.
It's fine with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ask them to respond to us personally, or to
Rose City Park, and we can post it on our website.
Sounds like a great idea.
Okay,
Yep.
so do you want just the top 5 questions?
Sure.
Sounds good.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, now we've had a vote on it, so now I feel comfortable sending it. It'll be in time. Okay.
Pam, let's you and me also talk about that from context of the newsletter offline here.
Okay, I will.
In terms of what we want to send out about it so that people are aware, if anything.
Okay. Anything else good for the order? Are we missing anything on the agenda?
Safety committee.
Is Don still with us?
Yes, he is.
Hello, Don.
Don?
The only thing that I would bring up was the note that Tamara forwarded to everybody from Nextdoor on the new tool that they have developing the help map, and just wondering whether there is any interest in us forwarding that information to the neighborhood again. I know it was I saw it on Nextdoor one time with the instructions on how to volunteer. I was wondering if we wanted to forward that information on to our neighbors or let it lie.
I would very much like to do that. I think that, you know, as you explained before, people can then self-define what they're willing to help with and what they're not, what they're up to doing. But I think that, you know, having just, to be personal, having just buried a 98-year-old mother, if she were alive now and she were in our community, I'd want someone else, and I was across the country, I'd want someone else in the community to be available in some way, and just even to talk every once in a while. So I think that that's a very valuable thing, and I think the more people know about it and are reminded about it, I think that's a valuable thing for us to do for the community.
Can we put that on the front of the website?
Sure.
Is that a yes?
Yeah, we can put it on the website and Facebook.
Sure.
I can put something in the newsletter too.
Yeah. I'm all for
Okay,
it.
got the motion, and so
Sounds like we've got it covered.
so we don't need a vote on it?
Yay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but we're all by consensus.
So Neil moved and Richard seconded it.
Right.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay.
So
Get it out there.
I just asked that someone send me the document that we're talking about here, or give me a link to it so I make sure I put the right thing up.
Can you do that, Neil?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay.
Would you copy me on that also, please, Lynn?
Sure.
Good.
Okay. Lee.
I wanted to let you know that Michelle was having trouble with the property right next door is a drug house next to her on 60th. And so she had an altercation where two cars sped up and one pinned the other car, and the guy got out and told her that she needed to get out of his car, and we need to, you know, and they were screaming and stuff like that. It ended up that both cars were stolen, and the police did show up, and she wasn't really pleased with the response from the police, but then the tow trucks came and carried the cars away. So I did talk with our officer Boyden this morning. He called me back after I'd forwarded that situation to him, and the email that I had received from Michelle. And they are very aware of that being a drug house, and they just don't have enough of the items checked off to evict. So there's a couple of different things that they didn't have in order to kick them out of the house. And right now, of course, evictions are even harder to take place. Anyway, I just want to let you know that situation occurred, and the officer for our neighborhood is aware of it. And I've got information to share with her on how to contact the sergeant if she has a problem with the officers that arrived and didn't necessarily treat her as nicely as she thought they should. Anyway, that's the other side of the safety report, I guess.
So speaking of Officer Boylan, next door yesterday, there were a number of reports of Prius catalytic converters being removed from the vehicles. And Sharon Fuchs on our land use committee was one of the victims.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah. And as a Prius owner, I have a vested interest in this. So I reached out to Officer Boylan and via email, and he said to give him a call. The issue was some of the people next door posted advertisements that were listed on Craigslist or elsewhere, ostensibly legitimate businesses soliciting catalytic converters. Bring them to me up to $1,000. So depending on the conversation with Officer Boylan on that, I'll probably put something out on Nextdoor if it seems to have any value.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, Tamara, at the bottom end of this agenda was the continuous descent airport issue, and I think we had an informal conversation to kind of postpone that till maybe a later meeting. Do we need to take action? It's in the action items there to just, I guess, to postpone it rather than address.
The question, I guess, is whether we need to have a special meeting or another board meeting in May before our general membership virtual meeting.
Probably a good idea.
I think we do.
Okay.
Yeah, the first week of May.
Yep. And if we do that, then we have a better chance of, number one, adding this one item back in. And those that, do you remember the virtual descent discussion that the guy came and spoke about briefly at the general membership meeting? Does everyone remember that?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
No.
They also made a presentation at CNN several months ago. It does sound like quite an issue on the north side.
Yeah, it's called, which neighborhood is it again? Is it, I want to say Multnomah, but it's not. But they're right next to, they're on the north side of, and north and west side of the airport. And they get just bombarded with the noise of this huge descent of the fighter pilots coming down.
Sounds more like Kenton.
It's the
Or Lodge up in there.
Columbia Neighborhood Association, and the man who came to speak at the general meeting, his name was Andy Pritchard. He lives in Cully.
Okay.
So
Cully's having issues with this too.
I think in fairness and equity that perhaps we should at least invite someone from the air base. The reason they practice that is it's a wartime action, and it allows the aircraft that are in unfriendly territory to descend upon the airfield in a vertical spiral rather than a long declining like an airliner, which would subject them to hostile fire. So if I had a kid who was a pilot in the military, I'd be a little concerned from that perspective. I'm just saying that in fairness, that we should hear both sides of the story.
Okay. So,
The logical date for a meeting would be May 5th. That's the date. That would be the first Tuesday.
okay. So we have a motion that we need to have a May meeting, I guess, from Lynn. Do we have a second?
Cinco de Mayo.
Was that a second
Beza.
show?
Right here.
Yeah, that's
I don't think
I'll-
I can make motion. I don't think I can make motions, can I?
That's right.
I'll second it.
there we go.
Whoever,
I'll make the motion.
you'll make the motion, I'll second. I'll bring the cerveza.
Love it.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Jennifer, did you vote?
Abstain.
Abstain. And we will have the dissent folks, this dissenting on the dissent. And then we need to have someone from the airbase.
Mhm.
Ed, do you want to find someone from the airbase?
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Okay.
And determine that are you going to do that? We're going to do that virtually.
Yep.
I think that's a wise plan unless something really changes.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to have the presentation done.
Right.
Okay, so we'll have the virtual dissent folks, pro and con. And we will talk about what's happening at the virtual May meeting. Including elections. So, what was the other one? Is there another topic that we're supposed to bring up?
I don't think so.
I think that's it.
The newsletter.
At that point in time, we should be able to know a little bit more about what the options are for our concerts.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Right.
good point. Great. Are there any other items that we need to cover tonight?
A land use committee meeting in April,
Yep.
so a Zoom meeting,
That would be great.
okay? Do either of us know how to do that, Tamara?
I'm learning, and Ed's going to teach me the rest of the way. Right, Ed?
I'm here to help.
Okay.
What's the date for that, Kelly?
Is it the 16th or the 23rd? I think it's the 23rd. Is that right, guys?
I don't have my
16th,
calendar.
16th, Kelly's. Third Thursday is the 16th.
The 16th.
It may be a very short
Okay.
meeting, but we'll have it.
Tamara, we'll put our heads together about an agenda before that.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, anything else?
This was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Well, you were drinking wine, Kelly. That's why.
That's not why I did that.
Thank you, Ed, for setting all this up.
Guilty.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think we.
Thanks, Ed, for leading the charge.
Yeah, thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
That's fun. It's fun to learn new stuff,
Mm.
especially when it sort of works.
Worked great.
I think it worked. Good job.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Move to
Bye.
adjourn.
Bye-bye.
All those
Bye.
How do we leave?
Bye.
We all agree. Bye-bye.
Pull on the plug.